Hola a todos, soy Mike. En este video vamos a hablar acerca de profesiones, títulos y ocupaciones en español. Hi everybody, this is Mike. In this video we're going to talk about professions, titles and occupations in Spanish. So, when we talk about professions, titles, occupations, it's slightly different than we do in Spanish. It's slightly different than the way we do in English. Especially because in English we always use the article before the profession. Let's say we say, I'm a teacher. Okay, so there's some cases, we could say that, in which we either use or not the article in Spanish. And this is basically what we're going to try to do in this video. I was checking the other day, I'm part of a group on Facebook, and I was checking the other day a post about this subject. And I thought, well, it's pretty interesting, so why not making a video about this? So here we are. So basically, when in Spanish we skip the article professions in basic sentences without article in Spanish. So in Spanish, professions, titles, and occupations are treated as attributes or characteristics of the subject, right? Similar to adjectives when used with the verb ser, like to be, right? Yo soy, ser, to be. So when I do this in Spanish, I never use the article. So I say, soy profesor. I am a teacher. I don't say, soy un profesor. I'm a teacher. Soy profesor. She is a doctor. Ella es médica. We are engineers. Somos ingenieros. So in this case, we just are simply stating what somebody is, right? We don't need to use the article un, una, because what we're doing is we're treating the profession, or we're defining a characteristic or an attribute of one person. Basically is that. Pretty much like an adjective, right? So like when I say I'm tall, soy alto, right? It's exactly the same. Of course, the difference is in English, we always use the article, a and, right? So I say I'm a teacher, she's a doctor, as opposed to I'm tall, in which we don't use that. So in Spanish, it's like talking about a characteristic, an attribute. So it's like treating an adjective. So I'm tall, soy alto. I'm a teacher, soy profesor. Now, sometimes we use the article in order to add the specificity or individuality to the whole idea. So if we want to give like more information, like qualifications, let's say I'm making value judgments about the person's ability or the skills or the performance in that profession. So I can say I am a good teacher. In this case, I'm using an additional adjective to the profession, right? So I'm using adjectives. So I go with the article. So I say, soy un buen profesor. I'm a good teacher. Soy un buen profesor. She's an excellent doctor. Ella es un excelente médico o médica. We are very talented engineers. Somos unos ingenieros muy talentosos. In this case, as you can see in these three sentences, the article is used because those sentences are not just stating the profession. Those sentences are also adding some quality or judgment about the people, right? In English, there's no difference because we're going to use the article in English, always in English. So we can say, I'm a very good teacher and I'm a teacher. It's the same. I use the article. In Spanish, we do that just when adding those attributes. Now, in some contexts, stating profession is like stating identity, right? Or a life calling. What defines me, right? So in these cases, especially in Spanish, we avoid the article, right? Just like simple sentences. Once again, with the verb to be, ser, I'm an artist. That's my life calling. Soy artista. I'm stating what I am. Que soy. So I don't use the article. Okay. Uh, in these cases, profession is treated is treated as part of who the person is. That's rather than what they do, like the identity of the person. When we talk about temporary roles or specific jobs, especially when we use prepositions like como and de, we don't use the article, as opposed to English, in which we always use the article. So if we say something like estoy trabajando, I'm working as a waiter in the summer. Estoy trabajando como camarero, not como un. If it's como or de, we skip the article. Estoy trabajando como camarero en verano. She's acting as a substitute teacher. Ella está haciendo de profesora sustituta, not de una profesora sustituta. Not like this. So if we use como or de to describe a temporary role or specific role, we don't use the article in Spanish. We focus on the function or role being assumed and not on describing the person. Okay. So now we know that we can add the adjective, sorry. The other day somebody commented, oh, it's not adjective, but adjective. So thank you very much for the correction. When we use adjectives describing professions, just as we said before, we may place the adjective before or after the profession. And that's something that we do in Spanish a lot. And this is very important because this is very subtle. So, adjectives are used in order to describe characteristics of the profession, of course. So the article is generally required when we do this. So let's say we say, he is a very respected lawyer. Es un abogado muy respetado. You see here, we're using the article and we are using the adjective part after the profession, right? I'm a specialized nurse. Soy una enfermera especializada. So here, the presence of adjectives modifies the profession in these sentences, right? So we require the use of the article in Spanish to make the sentence complete. In English, this is exactly the same. Now, we may change the placement of the adjective, and it's going to slightly change the nuance or emphasis of the sentence. And check this out. We can say, es muy buen abogado, right? O es un abogado muy bueno. So, es muy buen abogado, we place the adjective first. Es un abogado muy bueno, we place the adjective after the profession. So let's go with the first one. Both are translated as he is a very good lawyer. So let's go with the first one. Es muy buen abogado. So in this sentence, muy buen, a very good, comes before the noun. Abogado, lawyer, right? So this is a more common structure in Spanish. We use that a lot. And it is used when you want to emphasize the overall quality or reputation of the person in the profession. So it may suggest that as a lawyer, he is generally perceived as excellent, right? With emphasis on his skills, right? When the adjective that describe subjective qualities like good, bad, great are used with professions, we always place them before the noun, and they always highlight general known quality of the person or the thing we're talking about. Well, in this case, persons, because we're talking about professions. And the tone of these sentences are more direct. Okay, now there's something here. If we use the adjective before, we may or we may not use the article. So we can say in this example, es muy buen guitarrista, he's a very good guitarist, or es un muy buen guitarrista, he's a very good guitarist. Puedo decir los dos. I can say both, I'm sorry. In the second, I'm using the article. So, what's the difference? The presence or the absence or the article un is not going to create a significant difference in meaning, but there's a slight difference that is going to affect the tone and the emphasis of the sentence, because both mean he's a very good guitarist, right? So if I say es un muy buen guitarrista, with the article, I'm introducing or presenting the idea that this person is one example of a very good guitarist. It's going to add the sense of, let's say, specificity or individuality, if I may say that. Sorry. Um, you're basically framing this person as a member of a larger group of good guitarists. Okay, and this construction sounds a bit more complete and perhaps maybe a little more formal or with more emphasis. Now, if I say es muy buen guitarrista, which is the same, he's a very good guitarist, without the article, this sentence is more direct and informal. In Spanish, we're basically making like a judgment about the skill of this person as a guitar player without really highlighting this guy as an individual. Okay, and it's pretty much more like a general statement and more specific, focusing maybe on the quality of being a good guitar player, and that's it. The key differences are, with the article, we give the sentence a sense of something more specific. Without the article, it's more general, it's more straightforward. So this is something that we do a lot. So we can add the article if the adjective is before the noun, or we just may skip it, and those would be the differences. Now we can say, in the case of he's a very good lawyer, es un abogado muy bueno, and we place the adjective after the profession, the title. In this sentence, muy bueno, very good, comes after the noun, which is abogado, and this structure is going to emphasize the fact that abogado comes first, describes a specific quality, being good. This is going to suggest that among lawyers, he's a particularly a good one among all of the lawyers, possibly with a more detailed or specific set of qualities that make this person a good lawyer. So that would be like the idea. In general, when adjectives are placed after the noun, they generally describe a specific attribute of the noun, specific attribute. In this case, like saying he's a lawyer, he's particularly good, right? So this is more descriptive and less general. So when we want to qualify or describe the person in detail, we use this placement. When we want to focus more on the professional role and add description, we use this kind of placement. And it can be more emphatic and maybe subjective. So examples of this: es un doctor muy bueno, he's a very good doctor, right? Es una maestra muy buena, she's a very good teacher. We're in both sentences, we're implying that the skills, the set of skills are excellent in both of them. So key differences: adjective. I'm struggling with this. Adjective before the noun emphasize the general quality of being good or whatever in their profession. Adjective after the noun focuses on describing the person as a member of the profession and how they are particularly good or whatever at the profession. Okay, before the noun is pretty much common in everyday evaluations, and after the noun is more specific and like a personal judgment of the skills. Okay, Some additional examples. Es muy buen actor. He's a very good actor. Es un actor muy bueno. He's a very good actor. The first one is a general evaluation, and the second one is we're giving emphasis that this guy is an actor and he is good, right? Es muy buen escritor, known to be a great writer. Es un escritor muy bueno. His writing is of great quality, right? And he's a good writer. Okay, so this is basically what we do with the placement and everything. So rules are interesting, and it's good to understand the rules, and it's good to practice the rule. But what we need is exposure to the language. So now I think I gave you good information in order to fully understand these subtleties and nuances. Now is your time to first try and write some sentences, trying to use this and trying to figure out, oh, what should I use? Then go ahead and read a lot, because you're gonna find real Spanish, okay? And you're gonna try to identify this kind of cases, and of course listen, and of course try to speak, because in the end that's what we want, to be able to communicate and understand when we find this kind of differences, and how to understand the what's happening. Now, if when you're doing this you have questions, check this video as many times as you need, and if you still have questions, leave a comment. I'll reply as soon as possible. If you like the video, you know what to do. Please share with your friends, group, and social media. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, click the bell button to get notifications, because we're posting videos on a weekly basis. So thank you very much for staying here the whole video. I hope this has been helpful, and always enjoy the process. My Spanish is not quite easy. It's a little bit hard, but it's not impossible. So go ahead, learn. Don't worry about making mistakes. Make a lot of mistakes, and see you next video. Sigan estudiando, sigan aprendiendo, cometan muchos errores, y nos vemos en un próximo video. Bye bye.